All right, I want to start this off with a little challenge for you. Think of yourself as a detective. You've just been handed a case file, but it's not a normal case. It's just a handful of clues about one person, and these clues seem totally random, totally disconnected. And your job? Figure out who they are.
So let's play a game I'm calling the Impossible Detective. I'm going to lay out the clues for you, one by one. See if you can start connecting the dots in your head as we go.
Okay, clue number 1. Our mystery person went to a university that was founded in a pretty specific window, sometime in the late 1800s. I mean, that narrows it down a little, but there are still a ton of possibilities. Let's add another layer.
Okay, now it gets interesting. This person wasn't just an academic. They were a college athlete who then went on to play, even for a short time, for a pro football team. The list of people who've done that is getting much, much shorter.
And, plot twist, our ex-football player is also an actor. And not just any actor, they starred in a sci-fi movie about an alien invasion that came out in a very specific 8-year window. You feeling the pressure yet?
It just keeps getting more specific. They also had a role as a corrections officer in a TV show, and get this, in one particular episode, their character messed up and released the wrong prisoner. I mean, how would you even begin to search for that?
And here's the final nail in the coffin. We have to find an interview where they talked about their favorite role ever, which was in another show, a medical drama from a specific time period. So we've got a college athlete, turned pro, turned sci-fi actor, turned TV corrections officer who also worked on a medical show.
Whew. So, honest question, could you solve this? I mean, think about it. You'd have to dig through university records, NFL rosters from years ago, movie databases, TV show credits, and then somehow find some obscure interview. It sounds like an absolute nightmare of a research project.
Well, what if I told you an AI solved it, and it didn't take days, it took minutes? The person, by the way, is Jimmy Gary Jr. But who it is isn't the amazing part. The amazing part is how this AI figured it out.
And this wasn't your everyday chatbot. This was something different. This was Kimi K2 Thinking. And the way it cracked that puzzle shows us a huge leap forward in what AI can do. It's not just about knowing things anymore. It's about actually solving problems.
The big idea here is something called agentic AI. And here's the best way to think about it. Most AI is like a giant all-knowing encyclopedia. You ask it a question, it gives you an answer. But an agentic AI is like a tireless research assistant. It doesn't just wait for questions. You give it a task, and it actively uses tools, the internet, coding, you name it, to figure it out all by itself.
This chart breaks it down perfectly, removing from an answer engine, which just knows things and finds facts, to an action engine, something that actually does things and solves problems. It's the difference between a simple search engine and a full-blown research assistant that's on your team. So how in the world does K2 pull this off? Well, it really comes down to 3, what I'm going to call superpowers. These are the core abilities that let it think and act in this incredible new way. First, there's deep reasoning for when things get really, really complicated. Second, advanced web sleuthing, which is exactly how it solved our detective puzzle. And third, complex creation, which is its ability to build some truly amazing things from scratch.
So let's start with deep reasoning. To put K2 to the test, they gave it this monster of a problem. Now don't worry, you don't have to understand a single word of that math. All you need to know is that this is PhD level stuff. A human expert would be tearing their hair out over this for days.
But here's the thing. K2 didn't just know the answer. It came up with a plan. First, it broke down the problem. Then, it went and searched through academic papers to find the right formulas. Then, it wrote its own Python code to test out its ideas. It checked its work, saw what was wrong, and just kept repeating that loop over and over until it got it right.
And get this, for that single math problem, it went through 23 different steps of thinking and using its tools. 23. It searched, it coded, it reasoned, it failed, it rethought its approach, and it tried again. That's not just calculation. That is genuine, hardcore problem solving.
Now for that second superpower, web sleuthing. And this brings us right back to our impossible detective. K2 used that exact same process, planning, searching, thinking, adapting, to untangle that crazy web of clues about our actor.
And it turns out it's not just good at this, it's literally superhuman. There's a test called BrowseComp, which is designed to see how well you can find really obscure information online. K2 scored a 60.2%. The average score for a human researcher, 29.2%. It is more than twice as good as a person at being a web detective. That's just wild.
And finally, superpower number 3, complex creation. This is about building things. You can give K2 a single request, and it can become a web developer and build you a whole website. Or it can become a software engineer and code a working version of Microsoft Word. It can even become an author and write a whole sci-fi story from the point of view of a cloud.
Okay, so these skills are obviously really impressive on their own, but the real question is, how does K2 Thinking stack up against the big names, the AIs we all know and use? Let's take a look at the head-to-head numbers.
So on this test for expert-level reasoning, which is kind of like a final exam for humanity, K2 Thinking comes out on top. It's outperforming both GPT-5 and the latest from Claude. This shows it's truly state-of-the-art when it comes to tackling those really tough academic-style problems.
And then, if we look at that web sleuthing skill we just talked about on the BrowseComp test, well, the lead is even bigger. It's significantly ahead of the competition here, which really proves how powerful that agentic search ability is.
So, what does it all mean? A great detective, a math genius, an expert coder, all rolled into one AI. Why is this such a big deal? This is really the most important takeaway.
Because this is so much more than just a slightly smarter chatbot. What we're seeing is the very beginning of AI that can actually take on complex, real-world tasks for us, from start to finish, completely on its own.
This kind of technology isn't just about answering our questions anymore. It's about helping us solve our biggest problems. And that really leaves us with the ultimate question. What impossible problems are we going to solve with an AI that can truly think? That's the future agentic AI is building. And if you want to keep exploring that future with us and break down more of the tech that's shaping our world, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching.